5. Civil War. In 1860, following the election of Abraham Lincoln to the presidency, the South Carolina legislature, by a unanimous vote, called for a state convention. It assembled at Columbia and passed without dissent an ordinance declaring that, quote, "The Union now subsisting between South Carolina and the other states, under the name of the United States of America, is hereby dissolved." End quote. Seceding on December 20th, 1860, South Carolina was followed by Mississippi, January 19th, 1861, Louisiana, January 26th, 1861, and Texas, February 1st, 1861. The seceding states called for a convention. Meeting in Montgomery, Alabama, it framed a constitution resembling the U.S. Constitution, and on February 8, 1861, set up a provisional government. Thus was the Confederacy born. President-elect Lincoln was unable to halt the cataclysm of a dissolving Union and open warfare among the states. By the time of his inaugural, March 4, 1861, the Confederate Provisional Government had been established, February 8, 1861. Jefferson Davis had been elected February 9, 1861, and inaugurated as President of the Confederacy, February 18, 1861. An army had been assembled by the secessionist states, and federal forts and arsenals within the South had been seized, beginning with the Charleston weapons installation, December 30, 1860. Confronted with the Civil War, the federal government lacked any centralized intelligence organization and, in desperation, scrambled to establish a piecemeal makeshift secret service. Efforts in this regard became imperative when it was soon realized that the territory surrounding Washington, Virginia, eastern Maryland, and southern Delaware, was a hotbed of treason, Confederate agents, and poisonous conspiracies against the Union. Quote, "War, Navy, and State Departments at first acted independently. Seward of the State Department took the lead, sending detectives into Canada and the South. The War Department was then administered not by the tireless and incorruptible Stanton, but by that cynical party boss Simon Cameron, to whom has been attributed the definition of an honest politician as one that, when he's bought, stays bought. Lincoln dispensed with Cameron in January 1862 and removed him as far as possible from the scene by appointing him minister to Russia. Police chiefs of northern cities, for example, Uncle John Kennedy, superintendent of the Metropolitan Police of New York, had been called in to assist, not only by trailing and arresting suspects, but by lending trained operatives. General Winfield Scott appears to have consulted and worked with Seward rather than with Cameron, his own superior. After a while, the military jails at Fort Warren, Boston, Fort McHenry, Baltimore, and Fort Lafayette, New York, were crowded to the limit. So in February 1862, Lincoln ordered the release on parole of all political and state prisoners except spies or those otherwise inimical to public safety. Thenceforth, the principal arrests of all suspects of that character were by military power. End quote. This is Our Hidden History